You're watching the morning show on Channel 4, the local station. So, sandwich at your desk, eating it bites as you type on the keyboard. For many of us, mealtimes have become just another to-do job and the temptations to multitask. At the back of our minds, we suspect it's not ideal to eat while working or walking or watching TV. Slightly slovenly, perhaps. It's a fact of life just because of the pandemic these days. In fact, the latest research shows you're not just at risk of smearing chocolate on the sofa or getting crumbs in your keyboard. Eating this way could be one reason you're packing on some pounds. Dr. Jason West's an integrative medicine physician and joins us here on the morning show. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, everyone.
So it's not simply because your brain's distracted. You forget you've eaten, and so you eat more, but because your body itself isn't registering the food, huh?
Yeah, it's that you don't have any shutoff valves. So when you're sitting there and you have another activity and you're eating, you basically overrun that satiation response or that shutoff. And then what happens is you can't control portions and it just adds to stored energy.
So let me ask you about the cause and effect response. Does binge watching lead to binge eating?
Well, I think that they're probably related, yes. And again, all that food that's going in your system, your pancreas kicks in, your insulin kicks in, and your body's like, hey, I better store this up for a rainy day, and it starts to store it.
So I read that if you eat while you're distracted, you actually consume 10% more calories at the time and 25% more later in the day. Is that true?
Oh, I absolutely believe that. I'm surprised it's only 10% because a lot of times people just are like, I'm going. And I tell people all the time, listen, it's not only what you're eating, it's so important that it's not being food engineered. And what I mean by that is, how many apples can you eat? How many oranges can you eat? And the answer is 1, maybe 2. How many Doritos or Oreos can you eat? You eat until the bag's gone.
Yeah. We may not realize this, but our body's actually pretty sophisticated. Do we need to listen to it more?
I think so. Matter of fact, one of the worst things that we teach our kids is when we sit down to eat and they're like, hey, what you should do is you should eat. Don't leave any leftovers. Eat everything on your plate. There's starving families and people all over the world. And what we should be telling them is, hey, when you're full, you should stop eating.
You know, when I was a kid, there were 2 rules. Make sure you do your homework and don't make me ask you, and be there for the family dinner. But it seems like the idea of the family dinner is old-fashioned these days. So if you sit down with the fam, you talk and you eat together, does that create a better environment so you don't pack on the LBs?
Well, I certainly think that it's really good from a family perspective. I mean, one of our goals is when you eat together, you have that conversation, stuff like that. I think that's a little bit different than when you're sitting down at your desk and you're going through the burrito and then you got your liquid sugary drink over there and you keep going and going and going. I think it's more difficult when you are working and sitting in front of your computer or what you're doing there. I think that's way more important than your social eating with your friends or family.
Yeah, when I was checking you out and trying to figure out where you're coming from, I found out that you suggest that we take a more holistic approach to things. So help us out so we don't add to that COVID-15 that so many people have already put on.
Well, the first thing I tell people is get your body on a schedule. I think it's so important to eat consistently. The other thing it's important to make sure that you're eating healthy and alive food. So when you sit down to eat, you want to have some red, some green, some yellow, some purple. Skittles and Starburst don't count. It has to be plant-based material. And then don't drink your carbs. Don't drink your calories. What you want to do is just water. Be really careful of the liquid intake. And if you'll do that, people are doing fine and they're not getting the COVID-15.
Yeah, but it's okay to treat yourself every once in a while. Just don't go overboard.
It's true. I don't think that falling off the proverbial wagon, every once in a while is that bad. Matter of fact, I think it kind of helps to reset some things. You don't have to feel like you're living, like a restrictive, a prisoner or a monk type situation. But for the most part, people are eating way too many carbohydrates, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and the body doesn't know what to do with it. It packs it on.
Yeah, and look on the bright side here. If you do that, not only do you not pack on the pounds, you don't have to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe. Dr. West, thanks for your time. Appreciate you.
You're welcome, you guys.
Jen.